All right, so we have Sammy over here in the corner of the screen. I guess that's not the corner anymore, is it? Well, we've already done a free walk, so he's already had quite a few reinforcements of coming back, right? I have not done any recall practice, but the point of this is there's some things that I missed on Tank's video about adding negative reinforcement and corrections, which would be positive punishment, right? Least pressure, and corrections is negative reinforcement, positive punishment to your recall. Look, people are going to tell you never correct and never use pressure in this when you're doing your recall. That's stupid. There are people that have really, really good recall that start off with using pressure, right? It makes it a non-negotiable thing, right? I usually try to build up first before I go to it, but what I failed to mention in his, or I didn't stress it enough, right? I mentioned it as I was doing it, or I explained why or what would make me do a correction or add pressure, but I didn't focus on anytime you use corrections or pressure is when they're facing away from you, right? So if they're facing away from you, you can add pressure, and as soon as they turn, that pressure stops. It stops kind of naturally, but you want to make sure you don't keep, right? Your natural instinct is going to be, he's coming to me, I had to use pressure, I'm going to keep it on there. You want it to then become his thing. Then that way, if he goes another way, then you can correct that, right? So say they're coming and they're coming at an angle, which happens a lot of times. They come at a curve to start with, and that curve, you don't want to use any pressure. You want to let them curve, as long as they don't go straight out. If they're curving in, it's okay. If they go straight past, then yes, you want to add pressure, because I don't want you to go that way. I want you to come towards me. And it can be a curve. That curve is going to get less and less and less as you reward, right? So that's your positive reinforcement. So say now the curve is done. Now they're coming to you, and he decides, oh, I'm going to be distracted and go this way. It would be a nope, correction, and recall again. Now, oh, that's a good boy. Now I have seen some people, the people that I watch the most say to correct and recall again. I have seen some people say don't do that, right? So say he starts to go that way, you would go nope and correction, and then that's it, right? Because they say that now you're using your recall twice. I'm up in the air about it. The people that I like more, maybe I shouldn't say more, that I have watched the longest, they say to correct it and recall it, because that correction is for that. So now we got to remind the dog what we want. Now another aspect of it is what level of advancement is it, right? Are you talking the correction in itself and not recalling comes when the dog is 2 years old and has been doing good, right? And so where at in the learning curve are we? That would be, like, if I was with that person, that would be the question I would ask. Where in the learning curve do we not use the recall as opposed to using the recall, right? For the second time. Let me fix this. So let's see what we got. Any kind of pressure corrections. So I use pressure if they're not listening, right? So say I call him and he's just standing there, I'll give him a second to think, and then I'll add the pressure. Now, I've seen a couple guys lately, like they call and add pressure. Again, what point of the learning curve is there, right? Is this the very beginning, you're adding pressure immediately, or is it, have you already started some foundational work and then you're adding pressure? I add pressure later, I don't use it right away, right? So I add it if I think he's thinking, right? Yeah, good boy. Let's see what we do. Let's just kind of go, let's see if I can, now that I've just been talking, let's see if I can make it happen. So this is the walk the other way thing. You get him to follow you. You're a good dog. Let's see if I release him. Okay. That's the release, right? See if he's just gonna fall. So maybe I'll have to use food to make it happen. I'm gonna try to let it happen naturally. I don't like using food to make it happen because I like using food for the food game. So I feel like that's kind of sending mixed signals, and I try to avoid. I give mixed signals, oftentimes because I suck. That's because I'm a human, right? So I try not to force any. So we have some distractions there. My hands in my pocket is gonna make him follow me. Good boy. You okay? Go free. He's a silly boy. I don't know how I feel about that because he's doing it out here, right? So, but that's it. I don't think he's doing it as being a dick thing. Okay, so let's see if I can make it happen. I'm going to try to make it happen with a toy that he doesn't care about too much. Okay. You scratching your boobie? Your bra make your boobie itch? Does your bras make your boobie itch? Stupid. Is they getting in the way of me talking? So let's try this one. Okay. Of course not. Right. So it's go ahead. Look, he knows I'm going to call it. They know when something's up, right? You know when something's up, buddy? I've done this where I've used a different name, or I've tried to do this before where I use a different name and a different recall word, right? And it doesn't matter because when my voice happens, the dog turns around and comes. It's like, dude, like I did it with Waylon one time, right? So I was gonna say Fred here, and for Waylon, really it's just his name, right? Oh good, here we go. Like I stopped using come with him 3 years ago, and it became just his name. You're a good boy. Why don't you go be free? Why don't you go be free so I can do this video with an example? What if I use, he likes to play with that. He doesn't really care about balls. Let me see if we'll do it for a ball. He kind of likes balls, but kind of not. He said, well, we're not doing nothing. You ain't holding the leash. You keep holding on to the leash, I know something's up. Right? Well, I mean, it's like with Tank, it's like it's adding meaningful distractions, right? Come on, dude. Why don't you go away? Am I gonna have to use food? I am, right? All right, so this sucks. I'm gonna have to use food. It's the only way. Hey, ooh, there's pepperonis I was supposed to give to somebody. I'm supposed to give that to Maverick, I think. Okay, so we're gonna try this way. Ready? Come on. So, we go food. Sammy, come. You add pressure. Good boy, yeah. See, so the pressure naturally came off when he started coming. Right? Oh, he wants to take off. He hits the pressure, he's got two. Okay. Right? Sammy, come. Adding pressure. Good boy, yeah, good boy. So the other thing I was working on with Tank, okay, is pulling the leash in. You saw how I was leaving the slack. That's not a good thing. Sammy, come. Add pressure. Yeah, good boy. And a little bit of backup, right? See, I did it again. Even though I just said I got to pull the slack up, right? He's got to look, and then he can go. Wait for that look. Okay. You saw the first time he looked at my waist. Let me let him get farther distance. Sammy, come. Add pressure. Yeah, good boy. Come on, buddy. Yeah, good boy. Give him the hand target. I'm doing really bad about not making him come past me. I have this thing about having him come past me. Okay. Because when they go somewhere else, at least they'll come here. I don't like having them come to the front of me. Sammy, come. Oh, add pressure. Yeah, good boy. Come on, buddy. Good job, buddy. Okay. Right, so I want to get him one time where I don't have to use pressure. Right, all the pressure is, Sammy, come. Little pressure. Good boy. Yeah, good boy. Very nice. Right. At least so he can't walk off. Okay. Sammy, come. A little bit of pressure. Yeah, good boy. Good job. Oh, that's a good boy. Okay. I want to get one where I don't have to use any pressure. I don't know if I will. Sammy, come. Yeah, good boy. Very nice. Let's do a little event. Yeah, good boy. So he got a couple right there. Good job. Oh, look at him trying to run away. Good boy. Okay. Right. The reason I like using food is because now I'm going to let him have it. Go ahead. Usually what I'll do is, if I'm using food as a distraction, usually what I'll do, and I should have done it right here too, it's I'll let it go, is if I'm using food as a distraction that I've been calling him away from, I don't want to then let him go to it. A lot of times I'll bring him with me and I'll just hold him close and I'll pick it all up, and then I'll reward again from disengaging from the area, because that's a mixed signal thing, right? I've been calling you away from that. Why am I going to let you go to it? So, you know, a lot of people that use food as a distraction eventually let them go to it and they're successful. It's in my head though, like I just see it as, well, he's eventually going to let me go to it, so let me go anyways, right? It's kind of the thinking of it's kind of the thinking behind the go get thing. The idea behind the go get, to get off leash without going to tools and getting off of the long line, is you go get him and the dog's gonna be like, well, he's gonna come get me, so, and I'm used to getting rewards, so these two things put together has me go to him, right? At least that's the idea behind it. Oh, you're such a good man. You're such a good man. Are you ready to play? Right, so with that line of thinking, coming over to this food thing, if I'm calling you away from the food, and I first started thinking this like with leave it, like a lot of times people are like, you use the food and you say leave it, and you have them come back, and then you eventually go up and you go, okay, well now you're sending mixed signals. So that's where I first started it, and then I started going, well, sometimes I have to use food for distraction. And to me, it's different. The food in the food games where you're throwing it, that's different than food as a distraction, right? So that gets into the kind of clear communication that I've been thinking about, that I see other people do. And maybe I've heard someone say that, and it was in the back of my head and it sticks in, because, I mean, who really comes up with anything these days, right? I'm a big boy. But anyways, the point is, if you're using food for a distraction, I believe the best thing to do is not let them get it like I just did with him. Go back and let him see you pick it up, and I would walk off. If you're going to use the food that you pick up, walk off a little bit, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds, right? Break them from the spot for 3 to 5 seconds. So that way they forget that that's where it comes from. That way they can't put together the chain of events. The chain of events was, he called me, I went and got an reward, but then I got to go get that stuff anyways. So why am I gonna go away from what he's calling me away from? Does that make sense? So I didn't get to do a correction. Okay, so talks about the pressure and corrections being when they're coming away. So let's say when I called him back and I added the pressure, right? He started coming and then he decided to go back to the food, right? So that tells me we've done enough that all I have to do is pressure and he's going to leave it alone. So we were at a pretty good point, right? If we weren't at a good point with our recall yet, or I threw chicken and I'm giving him kibble, let's say, you can use the pressure to make him come away, then he's gonna start coming and he's gonna turn and go back. So what happens when they turn as fast in the turn of going back or going to the side as you can, you wanna mark it and correct it, right? Nope, physical correction on the long line. The nope or the no means nothing until it's had some kind of physical, just like when we go break, just like when we go sit, good. If he sits and I don't say good and then give some kind of reward, he doesn't know what sit means, right? It's the same thing with no. Like when you hear people say no doesn't mean anything to a dog, well, neither does sit, right? No means something to a dog when you've added a physical consequence. The physical consequence gives the word meaning, and then the consequence doesn't have to be negative, right? So sit, you can use least pressure, you can use your lure, right? That's a physical consequence. It's a physical positive consequence, a lure, right, with food. But that's what gives the word meaning, right? The reward or the correction is what gives the physical cue power. That's what I say. I don't know if I heard that somewhere. So let's get him some play. Are you gonna play, buddy? Or are you just all about the food now? Oh, I wanna do you a PM. So this is good for today. I wanna do you a PM one. Holy cow, 20 minutes?